Have I ever detected an odd scent and privately questioned if I was the source? It's a delicate subject, but body odor among older individuals is more prevalent than many understand. And it's not typically due to laziness or a lack of concern for personal cleanliness. Often, it originates from straightforward errors that are easily missed. As I get older, alterations in my skin, decreased physical agility, or even routines from my younger days can subtly result in odors that previously weren't an issue. In this presentation, I'm exploring 5 hygiene errors that medical professionals identify as the most frequent culprits for disagreeable body smells in seniors. These mistakes are nuanced, frequently going unobserved, but once I grasp them, I'll recognize their simple solutions and the significant impact they can have on my everyday comfort and self-assurance. Whether I've personally observed something or I'm just aiming to prevent it, this information is vital for every older person because no one should ever feel self-conscious in their own body. I should feel revitalized, clean, and confident in my demeanor each day. Keep watching until the conclusion, as the 5th mistake involves a common tactic for concealing odor that can, in reality, exacerbate the situation. Understanding the reason behind this might entirely reshape my perspective on hygiene. Let's begin. The first error, extending the wear of the same garments. A very common way unwanted scents can develop, particularly as I age, is by wearing clothes for an excessive period. Now, I'm sure I've done it myself. I might put on a shirt that appears clean. It doesn't seem soiled. So, I reason, why not wear it another time? However, what many individuals don't grasp is that even if garments seem clean, they might still retain perspiration, skin oils, and bacteria from their previous use. And over time, this accumulation doesn't merely remain in the material. It begins to generate an odor that adheres to my body even post-showering. This is particularly relevant for underclothing, socks, and any items worn snugly against the skin. The heat and dampness in such areas provide an ideal breeding ground for bacteria. And it is these bacteria, not merely the perspiration, that produce the smell. For older individuals who might not perspire as profusely as they once did, this can be astonishing. Yet, it's not always a matter of quantity, it's a matter of duration. The longer perspiration and oils linger on fabric, the more opportunity bacteria have to decompose them and emit those unwelcome odors. Allow me to share a practical illustration. Harold, 77, resided by himself and followed a regimen with meticulous consistency. He would wear the same casual shirt and lounge trousers for 3 or 4 consecutive days. He didn't perceive any issue, but when his daughter visited, she delicately mentioned that his attire carried a distinct stale scent. He was taken aback. He believed his daily sponge bath was sufficient. However, once he began changing his clothes daily and washing them more frequently, even he observed how much more pleasant his residence and his own person smelled. This isn't a matter of appearance, it's about well-being. When my clothes are clean, I feel improved. I move more freely. I even rest more soundly, particularly if my bed linens and sleepwear are fresh. If I find doing laundry physically challenging, there are still methods to cope. I can divide it into smaller batches, request assistance from a neighbor or relative, or establish a straightforward routine. Socks and undergarments are changed daily, and shirts every 2 days. I can keep a small container in my room specifically for items ready for washing. And I must remind myself that washing garments that appear clean isn't wasteful. It's a sign of respect for myself, my environment, and those around me. Because when I alter what comes into contact with my skin, I alter how I present myself to the world. And I am entitled to feel just as revitalized and looked after as anyone else. The second error, neglecting damp regions and skin creases during bathing. Many older individuals, myself included, pride ourselves on maintaining cleanliness. Yet, one of the most frequently missed hygiene errors isn't about forgoing a bath. It's about insufficiently cleaning specific body areas. As I age, my skin undergoes transformations. It gets thinner, more fragile, and slightly less supple. Concurrently, I might experience weight fluctuations, which can lead to more skin folds in places such as under my arms, beneath my chest, around my stomach, or between my thighs. And what occurs in these spots, particularly when they remain warm and damp? Bacteria and yeast flourish there. When I don't meticulously wash and crucially dry these regions, I establish an ideal setting for odor to develop. It's not a case of failing to bathe, it's that moisture became trapped. More problematic still, many of these areas are difficult to see or access, so they are often addressed hastily or missed altogether during washing. This type of scent is distinct. It's not merely a superficial odor. It can be acidic, stale, or even pungent. And I, if experiencing it, might not detect it immediately, especially if I've gradually become accustomed to it. Allow me to tell you about Eleanor, age 80. She was meticulous about her personal cleanliness, showering every morning without fail, but her granddaughter detected a subtle sour aroma whenever she embraced her. Kindly, she inquired if Eleanor was drying beneath her chest and stomach after her bath. Eleanor paused, then replied, "No, I typically let it air dry." That single minor adjustment, using a fresh towel to dry those skin creases, made a significant impact. The smell vanished within a few days, and it extends beyond just the smell. When these regions remain moist, they can be prone to rashes, fungal issues, or sore, irritated patches that make movement or comfortable sitting difficult. This is why it's crucial to pay them a bit more heed, not solely with soap and water, but with a gentle towel and careful attention. So, if I find certain areas challenging to access, I can use a soft flannel or a long-handled sponge. I should take my time and use a looking glass if necessary. After washing, I need to ensure I pat, rather than rub, each crease dry. Some individuals even employ a fan or a hairdryer on a cool temperature to carefully dry these problematic spots without causing discomfort. Here's a piece of advice: steer clear of talcum powders or heavily scented sprays in these zones. Although they might appear beneficial, they can occasionally aggravate the issue by retaining dampness or leading to skin irritation. Effective hygiene isn't about more vigorous scrubbing. It's about increased awareness, providing the parts of my body that receive less air or light the same attention as other areas. Because when I treat every part of myself with consideration, I will not only feel cleaner, but also carry myself with greater self-assurance, comfort, and grace. If I'm still viewing this presentation and find these points useful, I'd appreciate it if I'd leave a comment with the number 2 below to indicate my presence. And if I haven't become a subscriber yet, I suggest I do so and activate notifications so I don't miss future videos. My engagement assists us in continuing to produce quality material to enlighten and motivate me. Now let us proceed. The third error, inadequate denture and mouth hygiene. I can be impeccably clean otherwise, but if my oral cavity isn't receiving the necessary attention, that by itself can result in a lasting, disagreeable smell. As I get older, many of us experience the loss of some or all of our original teeth, making dentures a common aspect of life. However, what numerous individuals fail to understand is that dentures demand an entirely distinct care regimen compared to natural teeth. They require daily cleaning, not merely a rinse. If they are neglected, they can rapidly turn into a haven for bacteria, food remnants, and yeast. These bacteria don't solely reside on the denture. They disseminate across my tongue, the inside of my cheeks, and my gums. They lodge in minute fissures, and it's this gradual, concealed accumulation that results in what is frequently termed denture breath, a parched, acidic smell that isn't remedied by breath fresheners or oral rinses. More seriously, if dentures are kept in overnight or aren't soaked correctly, they can become dry, deform, and cause tiny abrasions on my gums, potentially leading to inflammation, oral sores, and even infections, all of which intensify the odor and make it more difficult to control. I recall an encounter with a man named Frank, 84. He had observed that people tended to retreat slightly during conversations but was unsure of the reason. He would brush his dentures each morning but failed to remove them at nighttime. His dental professional eventually identified a fungal condition known as thrush, stemming from unhygienic denture surfaces. Once a careful cleaning regimen was implemented, along with a new practice of soaking them nightly, his breath showed almost immediate improvement, as did his self-assurance in social interactions. It isn't solely about the odor. Inadequate oral hygiene can impact my general well-being. Bacteria originating in the mouth can enter the bloodstream, elevating the likelihood of cardiac issues, particularly for older individuals with pre-existing health concerns. That is why my mouth warrants the same daily care as the remainder of my body. So, what actions can I take? I should begin by cleaning my dentures with a soft, bristled brush, avoiding toothpaste, which can be overly harsh. I can use a specialized denture cleanser or a gentle dishwashing liquid. I need to soak them nightly in an appropriate solution and allow my mouth a respite from wearing them for a minimum of 6 to 8 hours during sleep. And I mustn't overlook my gums and tongue. I should use a soft brush or a tongue cleaner to carefully eliminate accumulation daily. One additional point, I must maintain regular dental appointments. Even if I no longer possess my natural teeth, my oral tissues, jaw alignment, and dentures still require professional oversight to remain in good condition. My smile, whether it's natural or not, ought to feel clean, fresh, and free from discomfort, because the manner in which I care for my mouth influences my breath, my comfort, and my interactions with the surrounding world. The fourth error, forgoing complete body showers or utilizing insufficient water. Numerous older individuals transition from full showers to sponge bathing or brief rinses, not due to indolence, but from necessity. Perhaps it's due to difficulties with movement, apprehension about falling, or merely feeling too fatigued to undertake the entire procedure. And that is entirely comprehensible. However, this is what occurs over a period. When I persistently use inadequate water or omit showers entirely, my skin never receives the thorough rinsing required to eliminate dead skin cells, surplus oils, and bacteria that cause odor. Water by itself will not resolve every issue, but it performs a vital function in physically dislodging and clearing away what soap on its own cannot manage. I can consider it in this manner. Envision cleaning dishes using only a sponge without rinsing. I might shift the dirt, but they wouldn't genuinely feel clean. The same principle applies to my skin. Now, I must be clear, sponge baths can certainly be effective when performed correctly. However, they must encompass all areas of the body, not merely the face, underarms, and hands. Regions such as the back, the area behind my knees, the crooks of my elbows, and around my hips are frequently overlooked, and these are precisely the spots where perspiration, bacteria, and skin cells accumulate. Another prevalent problem is using too little soap or failing to rinse it off completely. Soap residue remaining on the skin can combine with sweat or bodily oils and, in fact, add to body odor instead of diminishing it. There was an instance with a lady named Marie, 79, who had switched to sponge baths following a hip injury. Eventually, she perceived a subtle, musty smell despite cleaning herself each day. Her physical therapist kindly recommended a more comprehensive full-body shower with warm water and mild soap just once weekly, in addition to her regular sponge baths. This brought about a significant change. Her skin felt revitalized, her garments remained fresher for longer, and her feeling of self-respect was restored. So, if I've ceased taking regular showers due to safety or comfort concerns, I am not by myself, and my caution is justified. But there are methods to enhance bathing safety. Handrails, anti-slip mats, a robust shower seat, or even a detachable shower nozzle can alter the experience. And if bathing still seems intimidating, I might think about arranging assistance from a relative or a home care assistant just one time a week. I don't need to shower daily, but my body merits a complete, gentle cleansing periodically. Because odor doesn't invariably stem from inattention, it frequently arises from the minor expediencies I might adopt when attempting to conserve energy or alleviate discomfort. I should give my skin an opportunity to respire again, to be rinsed, calmed, and rejuvenated. It's not merely about eliminating an odor, it's about regaining the straightforward delight of feeling genuinely clean from my head to my toes. If I'm still engaged with this video and these suggestions are proving beneficial, I'd be grateful if I'd comment with the number 4 below to signal my continued attention. And if I'm not yet a subscriber, I encourage myself to subscribe and enable notifications to ensure I don't miss any upcoming videos. My participation allows us to keep generating informative and uplifting content for me. Now let us continue. The fifth error: camouflaging odor rather than tackling its origin. When individuals begin to detect an odor, be it on their person or in their living space, the initial impulse is frequently to conceal it. An extra bit of cologne, a sprinkle of fragrant powder, or perhaps a potent deodorant claiming around-the-clock defense. And although these products can provide momentary respite, here's what many fail to grasp. Obscuring an odor without eliminating its root cause nearly invariably worsens the smell as time passes. This occurs because synthetic fragrances don't neutralize odors, they combine with them. The result is a compounded scent that is more difficult to pinpoint, more challenging to disregard, and frequently more disagreeable to others than the initial issue. This is particularly prevalent among older individuals from a generation where body sprays and powders were standard practice. However, these routines, when employed as a substitute for genuine cleansing, achieve nothing. Indeed, scented powders can occasionally lock in moisture against the skin, thereby intensifying body odor, especially in warm or creased body regions. Furthermore, strong perfumes, especially when applied to unlaundered garments or unwashed skin, can magnify the underlying stale or acidic scent. The outcome is an aroma that is a mixture of chemical and natural elements, and consequently, even harder to control. I recall a gentleman named Samuel, 81. His son had remarked that he always had a slightly unusual smell during their embraces, despite Samuel applying cologne every day. It transpired that he had been omitting his evening showers and depending on his customary fragrance to feel refreshed. However, the mixture of old perspiration and potent cologne was, in reality, aggravating the situation. Once he resumed daily rinsing and began using unscented soap, even he observed how much lighter and more at ease he felt. And when he did use cologne again, it was understated and enhanced his cleanliness rather than clashing with it. So, here is the reality. Fragrances are most effective when applied after cleansing, not as a replacement for it. If I take pleasure in using scented items, that is entirely acceptable. I just need to ensure they are applied to clean skin. I should view them as a finishing touch, not a concealment. And if I use powders, I must be cautious about where and how I apply them, avoiding regions prone to moisture retention. I should opt for products designated as talc-free and hypoallergenic, or think about transitioning to straightforward cornstarch-based options that aid with dryness without introducing a strong perfume. In the end, the objective isn't to smell like a florist's. It's to smell like myself, clean, fresh, and well-maintained. When I eradicate odor from its source, I don't need to take refuge behind synthetic aromas. I can carry myself with dignity, feel self-assured, and navigate the world without anxiety about what others might perceive. That sort of quiet self-confidence is far more valuable than the most potent cologne available. Concluding remarks. So, having reviewed these 5 hygiene errors, each prevalent, nuanced, and entirely correctable, I should pause for a moment of contemplation. Which of these resonated with my own experiences? Which one took me by surprise? The reality is, smelling fresh isn't solely dependent on the products I use. It's about comprehending how my body alters with age and modifying my practices accordingly. My skin, my oral health, my digestion, my physical agility, all these aspects transform over time. And occasionally this implies that the regimens that were effective for many years no longer function in quite the same manner. However, that doesn't signify that I've neglected myself. It indicates I'm inhabiting a changed physique. And that physique merits just as much diligence, consideration, and regard as it always has. Every one of these minor adjustments, changing my attire daily, correctly drying skin creases, meticulously cleaning dentures, giving my body a complete rinse, and avoiding strong perfumes can create a substantial impact on how I feel, how others perceive me, and how self-assuredly I navigate my day. And the most appealing aspect is that none of this necessitates costly items or extreme regimens. It simply calls for a bit more consciousness, a little more purpose, and a touch more tenderness towards the body that has supported me for so long. So whether I reside independently or with relatives, whether I am 60 or 85, I should understand this. I am entitled to feel clean. I am entitled to feel comfortable in my own skin. And I am entitled to relish the serenity that stems from the knowledge that I am presenting myself as my optimal, most revitalized self. I appreciate you joining us for this presentation. We would be delighted to hear my thoughts. Please leave a remark below sharing one insight I gained today and how I intend to apply it in my life. My opinions are valuable to us, so I shouldn't hesitate to express them. Reading my comments provides us with significant motivation and reinforcement. If I found this video enjoyable and beneficial, I ask that I please like, subscribe, and distribute it. My backing enables us to persist in producing quality material to inform and inspire me. Thank you for viewing, and we anticipate my presence in the subsequent video.